800-585-1051 is the Gwen and God DJ Self. We're in New York City, and we're in May. And before I introduce this gentleman, right, it was weird to me because I posted something, and I had a thick coat on in the middle of Times Square in May. And I felt this was super weird because I'm like, it's cold weather in May. Why is it cold weather in May? And maybe I should have went to this guy to stay warm. How about that? Tim Grant's in the building. What's up, man? Can you explain to them why would I have to go to you to stay warm?
I work with the fur industry here in New York City,
Uh-huh.
and particularly with an organization called Fur NYC,
Mm-hmm.
and we're furriers. We represent an entire industry of furriers.
Furriers, fur
coats.
Coats.
Yes,
Okay.
fur
I don't
hats,
know
fur
if it's
coats.
the exact term.
No,
Fur
no.
coats.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
There's all sorts of things. Fur trim around the hood.
Uh-huh.
That's all the sort of thing that we do. And basically we're here to talk about something that's, it's about to afflict a massive industry and affect thousands of jobs, and it's called the fur ban that's been proposed by the.
I heard that they want to ban fur in New York City.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So this fur ban, which has pretty much been the product of animal fringe group PETA,
Mm-hmm.
has now kind of infected the city council. So Corey Johnson, the speaker, has sponsored a bill
Mm-hmm.
for the banning of all fur sales within New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And besides this just being a horrible idea, killing.
Well, tell me why is that a horrible idea?
Number one, the loss of revenue and jobs to the city, 7,500 jobs, and $800 billion.
Mm-hmm.
That's $800 million. $800 million. That's a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that to be that really just narrow in your thinking in terms of trying to eliminate an industry based on mythology about the industry is just wrong. And it's wrong on a lot of different levels. It doesn't just affect those who work within the industry, but it affects whole cultures. Speaking of which, the African American culture would be affected greatly because fur coats have been something of a rite of passage for us. It shows acclamation to having made it.
Okay.
It shows that we've arrived, even in terms of our Sunday best, with our women going to church with their Sunday
their
best
fur
on.
coat, uh-huh.
The fur coat is there. So it speaks to religious custom as well. And it's kind of curious because the same group, PETA, they've been the same ones who've actually conflated slavery and the African-American experience in this country to the beating of seals and the shearing of minks.
Mm-hmm.
In many of their ads in 2005, the way that they vilified our experience or conflated it or tried to marginalize it so that it looks like it's something like animal cruelty has been immensely bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's been spoken about on many times, many occasions. It was a New York Times article by Jasmine Sanders that spoke to this in January 31st of 2019. There have been many other articles that have spoken to PETA's outright vilification of blacks and the African-American experience in terms of utilizing that particular experience
Mm-hmm.
to conflate and to aid them in their pursuit of the banning of fur and their animal cruelty tactics.
Mm-hmm.
And we've called them out on that several times and yet to no avail. They keep coming back and coming back and coming back. And if you were to look this up online, you'd see tons of information where they've done this sort of thing erroneously. And so it's not just a ban that challenges jobs. It challenges us culturally in this country as well. It's just one more thing on top of many other things that we have to face. The freedom to choose, the freedom to dress as we wish, to wear what we want, to be the types of people that we want. It's always being challenged. And here we are again at that door trying to answer it again. And for no other reason than the fact that it's some specious or false reasons given by one particular group in an attempt to gain some political end. Well, for us, it's not political.
Mm-hmm.
It's about who we are. It's a piece of who we are. It's a piece of African Americana. But it's also practical. And I know that it's something that has always been a staple in terms of our family.
Yes.
Not the major thing, but one of many things. So it's not just a ban in terms of losing jobs, but it's also a cultural affliction to us again. And I think we need to stand up to this. We've tried on many occasions to kind of broker a form of conversation with Corey to no avail as of yet. But on Wednesday, there is a council.
What's the date for Wednesday? The 17th or 15th? Okay.
May 15th, there is a council meeting. The Business Affairs and Legislation Committee, they are actually holding hearings on this particular bill on Wednesday. And so we're sponsoring and holding a rally at City Hall on the steps on May 15th at 9 a.m. So here's what we need for people to know.
Okay.
Wednesday, this isn't our first offering on this. Wednesday, this past Wednesday, May 8th.
That just passed. Got you.
We had a group of African-American clergy on the steps of City Hall that brought to the fore these issues that directly affect the African-American community and the banning of fur. How it's not just a simple ban. It is something that afflicts us culturally because it's something that we've kind of ingrained as a piece of us in terms of what we do. And so they spoke out, and Phil Craig and other clergymen were there. They've even sponsored a letter to the Fur Ban Committee telling them that they felt that this was wrong and it needed to be obscured and stopped, and so that at least we can have some type of a discussion about this. The manner in which the council or the city council has gone about proffering this bill and then dropping it on us almost as like a thief in the night, and trying to fast track it to the degree where you wouldn't be able to stand up to it and or to defend yourself against it. And it's that type of backdoor brinksmanship that really should speak to each of us negatively. We need to confront these things as they occur. And culturally, it's just one more dynamic that we need to be on top of. And I would just urge everyone, if you can, to come out May 15th, City Hall, for NYC, New York, and stand up for what it is that is a piece of us. Stand up for our cultural identity, stand up for our cultural custom. Just stand up.
I've done like fur parties, and the group PETA,
Yes.
PETA.
Correct.
Right? Because sometimes, like some people, they feel like Peter, like the name Peter, but it's PETA. Right?
Not pita bread, but pizza.
Yeah, right. So like when they throw paint on your coat and stuff like what advice would you give? Like, yo, fam, you threw paint on my coat.
Well, that's been something that legally they've actually, as of 2015,
Okay.
they've kind of made that a terroristic act, so you don't see that much of it anymore.
Okay.
That willful type of disregard for other people's rights
Properties,
to choose and other
Got
people's
you.
property. So there's not a lot of that happens at this point. Instead, the echo chamber that they use is the false word mythology and these random attacks and inculcating or including or conflating experiences like the African American experience in order to reach people emotionally, like on this really seriously emotional level. But what they don't understand is that you can't just do that. It seems every cause in this country that's political, they have a tendency to turn to the African American community, and it gets thrown under the bus for everything, just about everything. Politically, when it comes time for a vote, they want the vote. But then when they have the vote and they're there, nothing. And it recycles itself every 2 or 4 years. And here's PETA, a villainous organization, fringe at best, that wields power with this false echo chamber about mythology, about how the industry operates. The truth of it is that it couldn't be further from the truth. This is not, we don't bludgeon creatures. None of that happens. This is an industry that has some of the strictest humane standards you're ever going to want to see. I mean, they have their own regulation internally. Of course, there are a couple of bad actors out there, but so few and far between, it's not even to be believed. The majority, absolutely not. One of the most humane industries you'll ever see. So, yeah, I mean, my advice would be to, if you're wearing fur and you like fur, continue to wear fur. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what you should do. Act your conscience.
Act your conscience. So can you give people like the address? Or, you said 9 a.m. or 10 a.m.?
It's going to be 9 a.m. City Hall, corner of Murray and Broadway. So we'll be there. You'll see us for NYC. We'll have a tent, and just come down. Join the ranks in the many voices that will be there to counteract this thing, and we'll make a day of it.
Is there something special about them targeting New York as opposed to, let's say, Virginia or any other different state?
Fashion capital. If you can kill it here, you can kill it everywhere.
Okay.
If you make it here, you can make it anywhere. You can kill it here, you can kill it everywhere. They've already been successful in shutting it down on the West Coast in Los Angeles.
Well, I don't know too many people probably wear.
Which is why that was probably their first stomping ground. And the way that they visited that, politically, it was almost as though it was cast. The die was cast already. It was going down. There was nothing they could do about it, and they did that. And they were successful. So now in 2021, it would appear that that ban will take effect. But retroactively now, there are legal proceedings where that ban may not take effect. That have begun after the fact. Now they're in New York. They thought that they could do the same thing here, that they could slip in under darkness of night, throw this fur ban up, declare a quick victory, and walk off into the sunset.
So technically, it's illegal to wear furs in Los Angeles or
Not yet.
California.
In 2021.
In 2021.
That, again, even that's being challenged at this point retroactively, but they're trying it here. So our position is that that can't possibly be the case. You know, it's really funny because PETA says this one thing, and the council and others, that the fur industry is dying. No way, shape, or form. Designers that choose not to or elect not to use fur, think about it this way. They have many elements to a fashion line. Fur probably takes up a trim or a coat or maybe just one particular look or a half of a look. So they lose nothing economically in terms of saying, I don't want to use fur. Many will hear you say that fur is in decline, the business is in decline. Nothing further from the truth. The last 5 years, incrementally, the business has increased. The desire and demand has grown. It's from millennials to those over 50. So it ranges the gambit. The business itself is seeing an uptick from people who can no longer buy from designers, name brand designers, or from some retail operation. But most retail loves fur because of the markup. It's amazing. So they come to us directly, and people are realizing that, wow, you mean I can still get the same qualitative fur coat, even better cut, better everything, and I can get it for like maybe a third of what I paid for it? Wow. If I go direct. So people are discovering this, and so the business decreases. It increases and it goes. So that's another piece of mythology. Fur is not on the decline. It is not dying. And just because a few designers have said that they won't use it doesn't mean that it's not desired. It is. And so I want people to understand that all of these facts are relatable. They're easily gotten online. And I think that if we did more education in terms of just how valuable this industry is and how far-reaching it is, how humanely it's conducted, we'd have a different opinion about it other than the echo chamber that PETA yells at us day in and day out.
I want to do a little bit of fur talk because I want to get schooled and maybe some other people. What's like the difference between like fox, chinchilla, different things like what's the difference with those?
Fox is really nice. It's got volume. You know, it's a much more voluminous fur. You know, it looks bigger. It shines in a different way. With chinchilla, it's a softer, much more delicate fur. It's pricier than fox, obviously.
Chinchilla. Okay.
Absolutely. But that would be the major difference, would be in texture, feel, and look.
And price.
Okay. Absolutely, without a doubt. Absolutely.
We live in New York, so we have different seasons. So we can go from extremely hot to extremely cold.
Yes.
I've owned furs at some times, and I've gotten advice on how to storage it, and I've never stored it the way that they told me. So people told me like in the summer you're supposed to put it in like a freezer or something like that.
For all of you out there, you're absolutely right. Thank you. You've made an investment in a fur coat. You know, it's going to be a prized possession. You can pass it down generation to generation. You could have it in the family for 40, 50 years if you take care of it correctly. Every year you should cold storage a coat, a fur coat, or fur accessories, all fur items, when it's hot. Heat is the enemy of fur. You want to keep it cold, which means you need a facility that keeps it between 45 and 55 degrees constantly. Fur storage facilities do that. You should store the coat every year. It's not really that expensive. You can go to a place like Mark Halfin Furs and you find yourself like with a $55, $45 bill for the entire year. To storage your coat, keep it safe, keep it warm. And you should also have it cleaned at least once a year, depending on use, but once a year to put the oils back into it, keep it maintained, that sort of thing. Very not too expensive in terms of maintenance. You believe it or not. You make an expensive purchase, right? But it doesn't cost you that much to maintain it. Not at all. I mean, cleaning can be somewhere between like $75, $85. And you've got like the storage, you know, so you're taking care of the coat for a year, maintenance-wise, like $110, $120.
my fur don't look like it did when I bought it. You know what I'm saying? So, so it's like, oh, maybe they was telling the truth. But I know we here for the band, but I also want to enlighten people on just to take care of their furs, because we also once this band is demolished, we want to make sure people can keep their coats.
Absolutely agreed.
When it get hot, you put it in like a little fashion bag, send it off to some place that do fur storages.
Yeah. In New York City, there are several places, Mark Hoffman Furs, there are a few others, Howitt, that actually do fur storage.
Mm-hmm.
It's a simple phone call away, or you can look it up online. You bring in the coat. In some cases, they will actually travel to you, pick it up, and take it to storage for you. Also keep in mind, do not put a coat in a bag.
Oh, okay. See,
Don't
that's
hang it in the
another thing.
closet. Do not hang it in the closet with a storage bag. You think you're taking care of it, but what
Yeah,
you're doing,
I thought I was. Oh man.
what you're doing is you're suffocating the life out of it.
Oh
You're
man.
not allowing it to breathe.
Uh-huh.
And what did we say from the beginning? Heat is an enemy of fur. So you don't want to do that.
So there's no way you can save a coat neither, right? It's over.
No. Hey, wait. We do something called remodeling or restyling a coat.
I think I got a fox. I don't even know what it is, man. So many people done dissed me with that damn coat. How I look now. But go ahead, tell me. Was it silver fox? Is that such
Silver
thing?
fox, absolutely.
Silver fox. Yeah, that's what I got. Silver fox. You know what I'm saying? It's like more like Silver Surfer.
Yeah, that can happen sometimes.
Okay.
But we remodel and restyle. Let's say, for instance, we were talking about the generational aspect of handing a fur coat down in a family.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say everything changes generationally, style, fashion, things change. So let's say, for instance, your mom or grandmother hands you down like full-length fur, mink. You see it, you like it, you love it, but you know what? You want it to rock a little bit differently. Okay, well, you can take it in and we can have it restyled. We can actually take the fur that's there, the coat, redesign it. We can make it shorter. We can turn it into a vest. There are a number of things that we can do to take a coat, depending on its shape. Now, I mean, if it's hammered to death and the skins are dried out and there's no way to manipulate the fur anymore, then obviously not going to happen.
Okay.
But we would tell you that. We would tell you that in the beginning after we had a chance to inspect the coat that this is not going to work, because we'd still be responsible for it afterwards.
Okay.
You would walk out of the store with a remodel and, hey, this just fell apart. We'd still be responsible.
Got you.
But if the coat is salvageable and the skins are still pliable, we can do any number of things with it for you.
All right, well, learn something. Can you talk into that camera and tell people where to go on Wednesday?
Join us down on the steps of City Hall Wednesday, 9 a.m. That would be Wednesday, May 15th, 9 a.m. at steps of City Hall. That'll be on the corner of Murray and Broadway. Please join us. Stand up for our rights. Stand up for our rights to choose. Stand up for our generational rights.
800-585-1051. Tim, thank you for coming through.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for teaching me how to take care of my coat too, Tim. I mean, it was like a year too late, but but we're going to see what I can do.
Thank you, my brother.
All right, it's Power 1051, y'all. We grinning.
Grinning, you heard?